Hello ladies and gentlemen, Carletta Traylor on your computer screen once again. I hope everybody has had a lovely week, and I also hope that you all have a lovely weekend. I'm actually here because, as I said before, I wanted to do things differently with my channel. Like, I didn't want to just do rap videos. I also wanted to sing, dance, do comedy, possibly host a few web shows, etc. And that actually brings me to today's video. Today I want to do my very first discussion topic, and I thought that a very appropriate topic to discuss today would be trust. Because I'm a teenager, and I feel like, especially with my fellow teenagers listening right now, I feel like we have the most trouble gaining trust from our parents. But the first question that I want to ask you as a teenager, are you the kind of person who's worthy of trust? Are you truly a trustworthy person? Because I feel like sometimes we don't really understand what it means to be trustworthy. When I ask this question, I don't mean, are you the kind of person who just doesn't get caught doing things that you know your parents wouldn't approve of? When I ask this question, I'm asking, if your parents were to leave the country for 2 weeks, unannounced, unexplained, for no apparent reason, and said, we'll be back in 2 weeks, we love you, we trust you, have a good time, would you say or do anything that you would be ashamed or embarrassed to tell your parents about? Because if you honestly can answer yes to this question, then you really have to sit back and think, are you truly as trustworthy as you think you are? Because I feel like nowadays so many teenagers seem to think they're doing the wrong thing is cool. You know, so many teenagers nowadays think that it's cool to go to wild parties, hang out all hours of the night, drink underage, use drugs, have premarital sex, and all these things that I personally think are wrong and don't agree with, but that's my own personal opinion, my own personal preference. I just feel like so many teenagers nowadays think that as long as they don't get caught, or as long as they make their parents think that they're doing the right thing, that they should be trusted. But that's not true at all. Like, to be trusted, you have to earn trust. Trust is just like respect. It's not something that's given, it's something that's earned. And I feel like so many teenagers nowadays don't know what it means to truly earn their parents' trust. Again, are you the sort of person or the sort of teenager who constantly gets caught leaving the house all hours of the night, stealing your parents' car, doing drugs, drinking underage, having sex with random strangers, and whatever the situation may be? Because there can be so many reasons behind your parents not trusting you. But I'm asking you, have you honestly been in that situation where you are doing things like that and you're trying to keep it from your parents? Because if you honestly think about this on a conscious level, and you can honestly say yes to any of these questions, then you really have to ask yourself whether or not your parents have any reason not to trust you. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're constantly being caught doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing, that you know are just wrong, that your parents wouldn't approve of, that the Lord wouldn't approve of, then you really need to ask yourself, do your parents have a reason to act the way that they act? Because sometimes I feel like parents do have a legitimate reason not to trust their children, but the children just don't see it. And I want to flip the script on this question. I also want to address the parents. Because as a parent, I understand you care for your child's health and well-being. It's only right. You're a parent. That's your job. But sometimes I feel like parents like to jump to conclusions too quickly and don't give their children a chance to explain themselves. If your child were to ask you, can I go to a party? Can I go to the movies with so-and-so, this friend, this boy, this girl? Sometimes I feel like parents automatically say no, but they can't necessarily tell you the reason why they're saying no. For instance, if I were to ask my mother or my father, can I go to a party? And they tell me no, and I ask them why, sometimes they may not be able to give me a legitimate reason why. They just say just because. I'm sorry, parents, with all due respect to all the parents out there who may be listening right now, but if your child asks you, can they go to a party or to some sort of a social event with a friend or somebody that you may not necessarily be the closest to, and you tell them no, but you don't really have a reason to deny them, then that's really not a legitimate reason to say that they can't go. Because I feel like if you're going to tell your child they can't go somewhere, then you need to have a legitimate reason why you don't want them to go somewhere. Now, if they're the kind of person they've been caught doing things in the past where maybe you just don't feel like they're worthy of being trusted, then that's one thing. But if they're a very trustworthy person, they do the right thing, you love what they do, they've never done anything to disobey you, or I should say not disobey you because we're all imperfect, but if they have never done anything to truly jeopardize your trusting them, then I feel like you should trust them enough to allow them to be able to, go out, have fun, just have a social life. Because so many teenagers seem to be denied a social life on the basis that they're not trusted, but sometimes parents don't have a legitimate reason not to trust them. So again, parents, understand that you care for your children's health and well-being. It's only right that you do. You're being a good parent. You're being a good guider. But the question I'm asking you is, though, if your child asks you, can they go to a party? Can they go to a movies? Can they go to this? Can they go to that? Do you just automatically jump to conclusions and tell them no based on your own personal beliefs? Or do you give them a chance to explain themselves and say why they want to go, who they're going with, etc., etc.? Because sometimes I feel like, parents can be strict. And to an extent, parents must be strict, but I sometimes feel like parents are too strict, to the point where sometimes a good child may want to go to a party with a friend. Good, clean, innocent fun, but because of what people think of them or because of what they think might happen, they just automatically deny you with no true legitimate reason at all. And I feel like that's not fair to that child. So the question I'm asking everybody today, number one, if you're a child, are you truly trustworthy? Are you the kind of person who gets caught up in alcohol, drugs, sex while partying, breaking curfew, etc., to the point where your parents have a legitimate reason not to trust you? Or are you the type of child who you do the right thing and you're doing the right thing, you're trying to make your parents happy, but for some reason they just don't trust you? And I also want to address the same question to the parents. Parents, are you the parents? If your child asks you, can they go somewhere or do something, do you give them a chance to explain themselves? Do you give them an opportunity to say why they want to go somewhere, with who, for what reason? Or do you automatically jump to conclusions and say, no, you can't go? The reason why, it doesn't matter why, you just can't. Because I feel like we all need to listen to each other. We need to compromise and negotiate, because I think that's the trouble between so many teenagers and parents nowadays. There's no communication. You communicate with your children, communicate with your parents, explain your reasons for wanting to do things, and allow each other to hear each other's side of the story. I feel like you can come to a compromise and situations could turn out a lot better for both of you. Excuse me if I'm talking fast, because everybody tells me I'm a fast talker, but I can't seem to help it. I try to talk slower, but it never really works. So I just wanted to like bring this out. Like, I didn't want to go into like a long, detailed discussion. I just wanted to like, basically like brush the surface of this idea of trust. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought about the video. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, please let me know. Thank you very much. This has been Carletta Traylor.